code book, there are three classifications of people when you talk about race and racism, according to what I've written. I looked at the classifications over the years, and right now it's supposed to be 21, I think. It might be more. As the last census, I think, that I looked at, it was 21 categories, none of which makes sense to me. That is, when you put them all together, or even some of them individually, make no sense at all. Like Pacific Islander or some other race. What would you be looking for if you were looking for a person of some other race? I mean, you walk into a room and you say, I came here to look for a person. And they say, okay, well, what is the racial classification of the person? Someone will ask you that, and you say, some other race. Some other race other than what? What do you mean, some other race? What would the person look like? What are some of the characteristics? Give me something other than some other race. Well, some other race. That's the person, you know. We have several people here who are of some other race. And you say, well, can you point them out, and what makes them some other race? That's their official classification, some other race? Yeah, you know. Say, well, who would I be looking for? Well, look for some other race. That's what I just told you. I keep repeating myself, some other race. Now, that is a category. And then you have another category called Pacific Islander. What does that mean? I don't know. I don't, what qualifies you to be a Pacific Islander? I've been in the Pacific, and I've been on islands in the Pacific. You know, I've been to Guam. Spent about maybe 2 hours there in a flight going back and forth to Japan and whatnot. So I was on a Pacific island, an island in what they call the Pacific Ocean. Now, during the time that I was there, that makes me qualified to be a Pacific Islander, I guess. But a person say, oh, no, that doesn't qualify you to be a Pacific Islander. I mean, you know, you spent 2 hours in Guam on a tarmac, you know, in a plane. You didn't even set foot. Yeah, but the plane is sitting on the tarmac, and I'm on a Pacific island. And so what are we talking about here? And what has that got to do with anything anyhow? See what I mean? I mean, what? Yeah, see, and on and on and on. So in the textbook for victims of white supremacy, to cut right to the chase, I said, when you talk about race, white, non-white, and white supremacists, that's it. Anything outside of that, you're wandering in the wilderness and you're not having focus. That is the focus. White people, non-white people, and white supremacists. You have to be white, though, in order to be a white supremacist. And that's what we are dealing with, because there's a reason for these classifications. And that's the question we should always ask. What's the reason for all these classifications? Whether it's 21 of them, or, like I said, 3 of them. You're supposed to be accomplishing something. Why be a member of a race if you're not accomplishing something? And so what is race for? Well, in the code book, I say race is racism. So everybody should be against people being classified by race. Now, if I get the caller's drift that just made this call, that's heading in the correct direction. Who thought up this idea of race? What are you racing against? They say human race. Why not just say, like I say in the code book, human being, which we don't have in the system of white supremacy. You can't have people who are humane, because we are in a inhumane system, a non-humane system. People are being mistreated. That is not humanity. So when you have a world government based on mistreatment, you don't even have a human classification. We are beings, but we are not human beings because we are not humane. And why is it we are not humane, according to logic and the code, is because we mistreat people. And we glorify the mistreatment of people. This is why black people run around all up and down the streets in every city and all over the world and whatnot, gun in hand, bang, 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 fall down, you're dead. All right? It's been glamorized. Killing people is glamorized in the system of white supremacy. They teach us this nonsense. Agreed. And we buy into it wholesale and pass it on from generation to generation. Mm-hmm. And I hope I'm not wavering from the point here, but the point is you got three classifications in order to do what? Why did I inaugurate those classifications? It's to get rid of the whole concept of race and have universal man, universal woman as individual people who have characteristics that qualify each and every person on the planet to be a universal man and or a universal woman, and with the best characteristics that a human being can possibly have in all 9 areas of activity. That should be the goal. But this thing about race is racism. Mm. Okay. And that's why I've said black people were told that we were members of a race. When did we join? We didn't join any race. The white supremacists came to us and said, you're black, and you're a member of the black race. We didn't know nothing about that. I mean, we said we were members of tribes and all like that, but race, what are you talking about? Mm-hmm. And that's how we got blindsided, because they invented something called race and racism, so that they could do what? Mistreat people on the basis of color. That's what. Yes. They are the usual suspects. They are the inventors.